What does it take to build a brand that lasts 50 years? A few months ago, I traveled across the globe, 3 flights, Sydney to Singapore, Singapore to Munich, Munich to finally Barcelona, to do one thing: find out what it takes. I got on board Virgin Voyages' 50-year celebration of Virgin on a very special trip on one of their big boats on Virgin Voyages. They had talks, they had workshops, they had interviews, they had special sessions, and I brought back all this information to share it with you to find out what has made Virgin so successful for so long. I mean, we're talking about from music to space travel to airline travel to cruises. Richard Branson has built an empire that challenges the rules, and he consistently wins in whatever he does. So today, I'm gonna just do an information download and share with you everything I discovered, from branding to risk-taking to going above and beyond what anybody expects, and how you can apply those lessons to your business. Let's dive in. The first lesson I wanna share with you is the power of brand identity. It's undeniable that Virgin has one of the strongest brands in the world, period. I mean, let's start with the obvious. Virgin's brand is bold, it's fun, it's unmistakable, right? It stands out. You can't ignore it. From the moment you step on board this ship, Virgin Voyages, or even one of their airlines or any of their products or any of their experiences, you are immersed in this Virgin world. Every touch point, from the napkins, from the lounge design, screams, this is Virgin. But it's not just about logos. It's about creating an emotional connection with their customers. I mean, they're masters at this. I mean, Virgin's branding doesn't just sell you a product. It sells you a lifestyle, really. I mean, the moment I boarded this amazing ship, I felt like a rock star. I felt like I was special. And that's the high-level experience and consistency of that experience that keeps their customers coming back to their experiences, to their products. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've been a student of Virgin and Richard Branson's work for years. Losing My Virginity is one of the first books I read when I started my entrepreneurial journey about 20 years ago. And when we rebranded the $100 MBA recently and built a whole new website, I borrowed that energy when it comes to our rebrand. I borrowed that idea of how do I make it bold and fun and high value and high quality. And that's really what we infused in that rebrand. Now, I mostly did it because I wanted to make sure that it's a high quality website, but I also wanted to practice what I preach. Inside the $100 MBA program, we talk about how you got to make sure your brand is instantly recognizable. You can't be ignored. Being ignored is the worst thing in the world, right? In business or in life even, right? But the whole point here is that you want to make sure that your visuals, your tone of voice, your customer experience, they're all aligned. And the goal is to make people think you believe they're special. You want to make sure that they feel like they're being heard and that you are taking care of them. It also helps when everything's consistent because people like what's familiar. And Virgin really nails this. Takeaway number 2, risk-taking and innovation. Let's talk about risk. If you think Virgin became a global powerhouse by playing it safe, you are in for a wake-up call. Richard Branson's entire career is a masterclass in taking risks and innovating and learning from those risks. A lot of people forget that Virgin's had a lot of failure as well. You know, Virgin failed several times. There was something called Virgin Cola and Virgin Weddings, and there's a ton of things in the Virgin graveyard. You can look them up. But because they're willing to risk and willing to fail, they're willing to really stretch themselves and win big. I'll give you an example of how I took a really big risk in my business that didn't really pan out at all. But before that, I want to share with you how Virgin does it right. They look at an industry and they look how to disrupt it. They look, how can we do it even better? How can we do it differently? I mean, Virgin Voyages is a perfect example. They flipped the script on the cruise industry on its head, and they really innovated. They ditched the buffets, but they also did a lot of things to be sustainable. Like they processed the food scraps that people leave at dinner and feed it to the marine life. They also desalinate their own water right on board. So they're doing things that no one else is doing that's incredible. Some of these things the customer doesn't even see, but they do it because it's important for them to do it right. They don't follow the crowd, they lead it. By the way, if you want to deep dive into the Virgin Voyages business model and how they disrupted the cruise industry, you should check out our episode MBA 2404. It's a business breakdown episode of this business. We unpacked everything from their pricing strategy to their go-to-market strategy to some of the hiccups and bumps along the way. But for me, in this experience, when I look at the risk he took to build an incredible brand, an incredible business, Virgin, throughout all the different things he's done and doing, I mean, the guy's going to space for crying out loud. It reminded me of the risks I took. I mean, some of them panned out, like the $100 MBA. I took a risk. I had no guarantee that it would work, but luckily it did. And I was willing to risk and give it a shot because I was in the habit of doing. On the flip side, in 2014, before I started my software company, Webinar Ninja, we launched a product called the DIY Webinar Guide. This was a guide to help people put together a webinar and show you all the technical aspects of how to do it. It wasn't very easy, and there weren't a lot of softwares back then. So I thought it was going to be a useful tool, and I spent 4 months with Nicole building this product. We said no to all our client work and basically lived on ramen for 4 months. We took a huge risk because we really believed in this idea. We launched this product, and on launch day, we had 2 measly sales. It gets worse. One of the sales was a chargeback. That didn't count. The other sale was a sympathy sale from a friend of ours. But the point here is that we failed. We fell on our faces, but we learned that, hey, people don't want a guide. They want an actual tool. And that's how Webinar Ninja was born. And 10 years later, we built an incredible company with 30,000 users and recently got acquired by ProProfs. So we had to fail and take a risk and fail to learn a huge lesson that allowed us to have a success. Takeaway number 3, creating memorable experiences. Let me ask you this. What's the most memorable experience you've had as a customer? Think about it for a moment. Maybe you went to some sort of beautiful resort. Maybe it was an incredible restaurant. Maybe it was a actual physical product you bought from a store, whatever it was. But when you have an incredible, memorable experience, you just fall in love with that brand, okay? That's something I learned, that most of us forget the emotional part of business. People want to have an emotional connection with a brand and the people behind it. Ask yourself, how can I create that experience for my customers? For example, when I was on Virgin Voyages, I had 3 incredible experiences that I'll never forget that make me really just love Virgin for it. The first one is that I got to meet a real life astronaut. Somebody who's been to space. I got to learn from him, shake his hand, get to know him a little bit. I mean, going to space has been always a personal dream of mine since I was a kid. What a special experience, right? And they had him on board. The second experience was being the captain of a ship. I mean, even though it was for a few seconds, it really felt special just to sit in the captain's chair wearing the captain's cap. And the third incredible experience was I got to meet the CEO of Virgin Voyages. I got to chat with him. I even got him to subscribe to my podcast. I mean, what an incredible experience. Virgin knows how to craft these moments and make your experience memorable. And they're not just about flashy features. I mean, every detail was designed to surprise and delight, from 5-star dining to like a Broadway level performance. In fact, I would say some of the shows that were on board were better than most shows I've seen on land. This is all to say that they're making the customer feel like they didn't make a mistake by choosing them. I know this is starting to sound a little bit like some sort of commercial for Virgin, but I'm trying to pull out everything I learned, everything that I experienced, and just make you feel what I was feeling. Because all that got me thinking, how can I create memorable moments in my business? For the $100 MBA, we're focusing on delivering not just information, but a transformation for people. Every lesson we were crafting is to make a lasting impact on you. And it just made me double down on that commitment to everything we do, our podcast, our program, our YouTube channel, everything. Takeaway number 4, building a community. Here's the thing. Products, they come and go. But communities, they really last for a very long time. Virgin understands this. They understand that if they want to build a movement, they can't do it alone. And it's why they built such a loyal following over the years. I saw it firsthand on the ship. I mean, guests weren't just customers. They were like fans of Richard Branson. The funny thing is that the demographic were people that really looked up to Richard. They shared stories. They made connections during cocktail hours, right? They bonded and shared their love for the Virgin experience. We met some people on this week-long cruise that were going to stay on the ship for 4 weeks. They booked 4 back-to-back cruises. That's how much in love they were with the brand and the community they were going to experience those 4 weeks together with. If you're a coach, if you're a course creator, or even offering a tool or a software, it's essential to build community. It's not just about the lessons or the coaching or even the software you're offering. It's about fostering the connections between like-minded people who want to grow and succeed together. I know that when I was getting started, community was a big part of my ability to kind of break out of my 9 to 5 and build my entrepreneurial identity and feel like I can actually do this. Community is the glue that keeps customers coming back. They usually come for the things like the lessons and the coaching or the product, and they stay for the community. My final takeaway is about having a vision and being a leader. What's your vision for the future? Richard Branson isn't just about business. It's about breaking boundaries, about pushing limits, about making an impact on the world. When I got to hear him talk, he really taught me that leadership is rooted in curiosity and courage. He's not afraid to fail because for him, failure is just another step towards success. And when his team sees he's courageous and he's willing to take risks, they feel courageous. And it kind of rubs off on them and they really push a little harder. Reflecting on this experience, I couldn't help but think about the vision behind my business, my brand, the $100 MBA. Now, that vision has sort of evolved over the years because I have changed and I have grown. But in a lot of ways, it's remained the same. At the end of the day, we're trying to help people gain their freedom, their financial freedom, their location freedom, their time freedom. And I was reminded that I need to remind myself and the rest of the team, this is what we're doing here, guys. Let's stay focused, right? Let's not forget that this is the whole reason why we do what we do every day. So I encourage you to do the same with your team. Remind yourself of your vision. Remind yourself of what you're doing this for, and remind your team along the way so that they have a renewed understanding of what they're doing and why they're doing it. Virgin's 50-year journey is a reminder to you and me that boldness, innovation, community, these are all cornerstones of a great brand. Whether you're just starting out or you're scaling up in your business, you could take away these lessons and implement them in your business right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you hit subscribe and let me know what was your number one takeaway from today's lesson. Pop it in the comments below. This experience really did inspire me, but it also got me feeling I got some work to do. And that's just as good, knowing that you have some work to do, knowing that you're doing okay, but you could do better. So I encourage you to ask yourself, what can you do better? What can you implement this week, next month to improve your brand, your visibility, your experience for your customers? How can you make it just world class and not just be relevant today, but relevant 50 years from now? Thanks so much. I'll check you in the next lesson.